Hi, Jennifer. Just wanted to test if you could hear me.
Yes, I can.
Okay, perfect. I just wanted to confirm that. We will be starting in about 10 minutes. Thank
Okay, thank you.
you so much. Bye.
Yeah, it's true, the plants are. Which is kind of cool. It's cool to have flowers in summer because we don't get fire is scary, but the light is off. Cool. Yeah.
No.
Well,
was like,
thank you for bringing up the standard for this time of year. We just got back.
None of it's on fire.
It's not on fire. Everything's green and it's like 75 and it was. I always go this time of year, I'm like, and then I go to January and think this is why.
Is it hard weather there? Hard weather.
They're like, yeah, winters, they're not exciting snow winters, they're like 50 degrees and raining.
Yeah. I'm gonna start baking you some goods. Will that keep you? If I start baking some goods for Espar, will that keep you here? Yeah, you know, I'll bring a treat next Espar for sure. Well, it's actually next week, so. Yeah, it was the 19th. It was because originally Espar was scheduled to be last week, but that would have ended up being on the 5th, the day after 4th of July. So we had it switched to this one. 2 in a row, yeah. I did a half day.
Nobody walked in there.
Oh my God. You're like, I gotta check payroll for how much vacation time is being taken right now.
Actually,
Well, that was the same with our no applicants emailed me on Friday. That's why I was like, I can just send my agenda out and be gone.
Yeah. Did you see him?
Yeah.
Oh, that item got dropped to 2929 East Valley Road. They asked to be continued and not to a determined agenda, but
Robert, didn't hear from Josh.
I didn't hear if he was not going to be here. But I think David said that he saw him yesterday presenting a project, and he did. Yeah. Yes. Oh, they're actually. I forgot to spread them out. They're graphic dice. They're printed out right here.
Oh, sorry.
One stack of minutes and one stack of memory tables. Spread them out across here.
Nothing changed?
No, nothing changed.
Just the one got continued.
Which one?
29 EBR.
Item number 6 will be continued today. Yep, whenever you guys are.
So this is the S-Bahn meeting of July 12th. The consent calendar, the first item is the 736 Nation Park Drive. We have some comments regarding mostly landscaping. So it's still online, but it's mostly landscaping.
Yeah. Good morning, first of all. I will try to be brief. Essentially, we updated the landscaping like pointed out to address the request that we have received. So we planted more plants in the front yard that were more tolerant to shades and they could grow better under the oak trees, and also to improve the look of the front yard. The other change was there was a request of not having the bamboos on the back, the existing bamboos, and so we agreed to remove them as requested. That's pretty much it. Everything else is more or less the same. And at this point, we hope that the board will allow us to proceed to the next phase.
I have a question. There is an algorithm that calls for the tree protection.
Yes, yeah.
So is that where is the tree? Where is that plan? The tree protection plan?
Well, I submitted
Or is separate? Is it separate?
Yeah. It's been submitted and agreed also from the previous
I didn't see it.
board meetings. Yes, and essentially, we are going to we agreed to plant the oak in the corner, like it's shown in the landscaping plan, and this will be on the size that was requested.
Okay, all right.
But my understanding there was agreement this of the board and the plan.
Landscape. Yeah, what is that?
So let's go to let's go back. Sorry.
And
No, this is not.
oh, sorry.
It's a landscape. There you go.
Looks like Joseph.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and mute that.
There's a list.
Yeah, there's a list up here.
Yeah, so there are two lists, one of the existing plants and one of the addition. The addition are all the one circle in yellow orange plant.
Existing collection.
It's hard to see together, but let's hold on.
Oh.
So that's a neighboring property, sorry, that's the existing front yard as is today.
And that is the last sheet.
What are you using, I guess, along the southern border for screening? Like what's and the elements existing?
Yeah, so on the southern border, the plants arrive up to this point. So most of the plants are already existing, and then the other plants are the ones. The other plants are the one in yellow. So here in the front, we mainly added these plants, and then on the back, we just under this portion. And opposed to there.
That's easy then. But the only one that could be considered a hedge in that stuff.
See, yeah,
Anyway, it looks like you have things pretty well in order and the plan looks good, so I would say move this forward.
Very good. We'll do it on the-
Actually, we're starting real quick. I just want to see if there are plant sizes
Oh, yeah.
or. Okay, great. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
thank you.
It's item number 2 here, the McQueen four-car garage.
Yes, I'm here. Good morning.
One, it's coming to the advance. The elevations.
All right.
So what happened with the, I thought we were going to go with the, double hands because these guys are so skinny. You change your mind or what happened?
Well, here, let me, Jarrett Gordon here from Vanguard Planning. We just go through your comments from the last time and I'll show you what we did. So the first one was to restudy those narrow sliders and look at double hungs and all. We started looking at this and we were having trouble dealing with egress, doing everything with double hungs. So what we ended up doing was those two, the groups of the two windows that you see on the left-hand side of the west elevation there, they had looked weird because they were maybe 50% taller in the last version. And so we just changed the proportions of the windows to match the shorter ones that we had elsewhere. And so now they don't have that super long, skinny, strange proportion to them anymore. These are windows that end up on both sides of a TV wall. So they don't need to be full height windows. And we think that that solves the proportion issue. And this way, all the windows are consistently sliders across the building and they match what's on the main house.
How about the, I noticed you changed the stairway, it looks, it seems to make more sense.
Yeah, so that's the next comment. That was one of your comments from last time. So the stairway had been coming down the other direction before, and that was left over from when we were trying to preserve that existing tree. When we got the approval, we actually were removing that tree and replacing it with a big cypress tree. And your board pointed out that it made sense at that point to switch the stairs, and we agreed. So we mirrored the stairs from what they were. So now the approach to the stairs comes up naturally off of the driveway and the approach from the street instead of closing off that patio. And it opens up that whole patio kind of towards the rest of this project, and rather than segregating it off. So we flipped that over. And then the eyebrow over the garage, your board liked the eyebrow, but you wanted us to move it up. So we increased the height or the reveal between that eyebrow on the garage and the top of the garage doors.
That's good, that's good. And let's go to the landscape plan.
Yeah, and then we added the garage doors in with the windows that we talked about, and that detail had been missing from the previous plans. So it shows the door detail now on the windows on the garage doors, which I think helped that elevation out a lot.
How about the landscape plan?
Oh, that's on the cover sheet, and it's on the proposed side. So what we did there is we upsized all of the sages to 5 gallons, which was what you directed. And then on the western side, we're adding, there's not a whole lot of space. There was only 4 feet between the building and the fence. So we don't want to put a ton of landscaping on the ground because there's just nothing to go through and see there. But what we are proposing to do is plant some 1 gallon star jasmines all along that fence so that they'll grow onto the fence and give us sort of a green screen, and they smell really good. So that's our plan over there.
The hatched area underneath the cypress and around the stairs.
That I can't read it on the screen here.
Yeah, me neither. It doesn't say anything actually.
1,000.
It's zoomed in and it's all pixelated, and I can't read what's written on here. Yeah, now it's zoomed out and it's still pixelated. I gotta be honest, I'm not 100% clear what's going on there. I think we would probably just do some more sage around in there. We're just looking for really low maintenance, low water, hardy landscaping that's going to survive an Isla Vista student housing project.
I don't know. I think we needed something a little bit more clear on the landscape and the calling.
You can hold it up just for that. So I think that we could maybe give it final with the caveat that they send it to one of the landscape architects before just finalize the approval on the landscape plan and with some direction, like some taller plantings around the stairs, just to sort of bring that down a little bit.
They can go to the building department already, right? Have a preliminary. However you want to resolve this, I think it needs something a little bit more clear, more. Otherwise, I'm afraid nothing will happen. It will be just perfect. So you can submit to the building department, but come back for consent just for the landscape issue, clarification issue. That would be the best way to move forward.
I got a question on this. I mean, it doesn't seem like a super significant issue. Could you just give us some, just a really clear, like, you want taller landscaping near the stairs, like give us a height or something, and that our staff would just be able to see that we complied with it so that we're not taking up time again on another consent agenda just for that.
We need something clear because right now we have the hatch area. It doesn't say what it is. Now we cannot design it for you. We have to provide some landscaping. It's not a big ask. We're not slowing you down. We're not slowing down anybody. You just have to provide some kind of clear landscape with sizes and quantities of plants. Right? Am I right? I'm going to delegate it to the landscape architects here.
Yeah, I mean, it's we wouldn't typically approve something that has this little information, and we hate for it just become dirt, and there's an opportunity there to help soften the architecture. So I'd be fine with either giving them final and having one of us look at it. I'd volunteer to do that after, you know, whenever they have it, and so that they can get in the building department and just, we've seen this several times too, so it's really minor. I think it would just be add some planting with some height and establish a ground cover and under and around the Monterey cypress. So,
yeah, we'd appreciate that. We did something really similar on a different project where it was like a lighting thing that actually turned out that it was on the plans in that case. But yeah, we need to get into the building department, and we're happy to come back and have you, the landscape designee, look at the final version of that.
Yeah, the right hand side, is that accurate? Is that acceptable?
the hedge.
Yeah. Or the plants, or whatever the plants.
Yeah, everything else, I mean, you know,
It's just the area.
sage is fine, I've got some palms over there, it's really just what's happening in the hatched area.
Okay, so all right, we'll do that. Mr. Boren, So, we get the final with that caveat that, we send plans to,
Send it to me.
give it them for review and before final, for final, I'm not sure what we call it.
Prior to issuance of or prior to issuance of the building permit, maybe.
Fine. We've done this before.
Okay, very good. You're good to go.
Okay, thank you. I really appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I have them on my other computer here. We're going back and forth. Yeah. Do you mind if we hit a quick pause real quick? Okay.
Issues?
Yeah, for technical issues. Okay, we're gonna take a 5-minute recess.
Oops.
Yeah. Okay, we will begin the SBAR hearing of July 12th, 2024. And we will begin with any public comment not pertaining to items on today's agenda. Any in the audience or online?
We have nobody online and we have nobody signed up for public comment.
And we'll move on to the agenda status report.
We have one item that's going to be continued. Item number 6 is 2929 East Valley Road, LLC Edition 23 BAR-00101. Has to be dropped from the agenda today. It's just a drop.
And we'll move on to review the minutes from June 21st. Anyone have any, you don't need to go one by one if anyone has any comments. There,
I have a comment on number 4.
report. Can scroll to item 4, Jonathan, on this previous minute. Jonathan, do you want to take notes or should we? Sure.
I can take notes.
Okay.
It's a simple comment, but it's just like A sounds so esoteric. I would change it to the use of a thin profile roof and structural glass walls is exemplary. Because thin composition in relation to it kind of clear. The use of a thin profile roof to structural glass is exemplary. That's what I have for that one.
Anyone have any comments on the report? Yeah, 5 through 8.
Seven, we already review on consensus.
Yeah. 8.
Motion to approve the revised minutes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Vote.
All right, moving on to SBAR informational briefings. We have one who's in the process, like we need another. Maybe. Yeah, process for landscape. But I think about you, I think so. Yes, we have a landscape person, hopefully in progress. We've contacted Dawson's office, everything about it, but we'll start looking, we're officially recruiting for an architect as well. Okay, and more minor, I need to leave by 1, but we will achieve that. All right. Moving on to the staff update.
No staff update from this side.
Okay. All right, and the consent agenda was reviewed and Alice was
So, I think the number 1 was the proposed items were approved. 736 Mission Park Drive and 6776 Victoria Drive. They were both approved. The second one, Victoria Drive, is a request for the applicant to provide additional landscape notes to be reviewed by the landscape concern calendar of just before the building permit issues. So I make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
All in favor? The first item on today's agenda, the fire suppression water tanks, the North of Whitney Folly, Agent for Coastal Bloom Nursery. Here for conceptual review of 180,000 gallon, 45-foot diameter, 15-foot tall above ground fire suppression water tank. It also proposes a 99 square foot pump enclosure, and there is currently several buildings on the parcel. A 14,500 square foot structure and a 4,000 square foot structure. The project will require 3 cubic yards of fill and cut here, and 28 cubic yards of fill. 7 acre parcel located at 3798 Gator Real in the Park area.
Thanks for coming.
Here or
Hi, thanks for the intro.
you can go ahead and give us, it sounds like a pretty straightforward
Yeah.
project, so you can give us a brief presentation.
Okay, yeah. There should be a set of plans in the folder on the drive, but it's pretty much exactly as described. We are required to put a fire suppression water tank on the site, and it's 180,000 gallons. It's 45 feet wide, 15 feet tall. And then the 99 square foot pump enclosure is 8 feet tall. There's already landscaping on site that is growing and should continue to grow. We had to put it in for our coastal development permit. So everything should be blocked from the road. It's not very exciting, but. So yeah, that's the site. Those are the 2 buildings. And then there's the tank over on the western side in the little pump house.
You're just here for concept review, but do you have materials that you want to mention? Yeah.
Yeah, we're just here for conceptual review. I'm happy to answer any questions, but it's pretty straightforward. I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
The elevation, where at what page the elevation shown? And then,
It's hard to read the text, but is it a concrete enclosure or poly or metal?
For the pump house,
Sorry, the tank.
the tank is on galvanized steel.
It will be painted or rock.
Yeah, it'll be painted like a dark green color.
What material is the pump enclosure?
The pump is just a tough shed like plastic structure. We haven't acquired it yet.
doesn't have like waves, or it's smooth, it's 45 feet in diameter, right? It must have some kind of, something, you know, some ribs or some steel ribs or something like that.
I'm sorry, I really can't hear you.
Having a similar issue like Joe's here.
It's really bad.
It's very muffled.
It's mine better, but you hear me better, Whitney.
Yeah, I can hear you better.
I'll just really. Oh, is there a texture on the outside of the tank? Is it ribbed or had?
Yeah. Yeah, that's how the tanks are built. They're just like pieced together. It's just an agricultural water storage tank, but it'll just be assigned for fire water.
Okay, is there a spec sheet on the other sheet I might have seen to see like a more like photos?
Yes, that page has like a picture of the tank pre-painted. So they just look like that.
Any other questions from the board?
Is the tank shiny?
Is it shiny? Not when they're painted green.
Top,
Top is the fabric cover. Yeah.
That's how it's covered in that picture.
Yeah. The fabric cover over the top.
Do you have any photos showing, you said you have existing screening with plant material. Do you have that identified, or do you have photos showing that somewhere?
Let me just pull up the other ones. I don't know if I don't believe that the landscape plan is a part of this since it's already installed. But we have Monterey cypress growing all along the southern property line, and then we have a hedge of holly leaf cherries growing along the property line as well. Yeah, there you go. That's 2 years old, but yes. They're all bigger now.
Move on to any public comment.
There is nobody signed up for public comment, and we have nobody in the attendees column. If anybody's here to make we have nobody here for this comment.
On to comments from the board. Start with John.
I have nothing to add. It seems to be a perfectly approvable project and can go, I would imagine, can go to consent and bring better drawing, actually, exactly what it looks like and colors and so forth. And that's what we need.
Yeah, I think just more information about the landscape screening, maybe an existing landscape plan or whatever's newly proposed, and maybe some updated photos. We just want to make sure it's screened properly.
Sure. Yeah, there's no landscaping proposed as part of this project, but when we did our coastal development permit on this site 2 years ago, there was a landscape plan with requirement for the 20-foot tall buildings to be shielded by the road or from the road within 5 years. So since the buildings are taller than the tank, we should be covered, but we can include those when we come back.
Can you just put that on a plan then for us to see?
Yeah. We can send those.
I have no further comment.
Very right. So it sounds like you can come back for prelim and final on consent with additional detailing.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
You too. We'll move on to item number 2, Palmer Renew resident, requested by David Architects, architect from Maya Palmer, here for prelim and final review of the new two-story residence, 4,525 square feet with attached garage, pool cabana, and pool and spa. So on a currently vacant lot, it will require 150 cubic yards cut and 150 cubic yards fill, a 0.53 acre parcel located at 1068 San Antonio Creek Road in the Toledo area. Would you like me to read the comments, or do you want to go through them?
Go ahead.
Okay. The architectural style is acceptable. The majority of the board finds the project citing mass bulk and scale appropriate. One member finds the mass bulk and scale is acceptable for the state. Project is compatible with neighborhood detailing and choice of materials is excellent. Modulation of breakup massing is successful. New site layout is successful. Study tower and consider raising the plate height to rise above the roof line. Eliminate parking space in front setback to provide additional landscape screening. Study fire pit design and consider scale of seating in relation to fire.
I feel like this might have been the prior.
Do you see prior? Yeah.
So, because I don't think there were comments last time. I think it was all favorable. We actually received preliminary approval last time.
Yeah, and it says you were continued back in April, but I thought we.
Yeah, you guys reviewed it.
Then.
Gosh, it was not last meeting, prior, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have those minutes. I can pull those up. Sorry.
I can go ahead and tell us what's changed while he's looking for that. If you can do a few screens, Jonathan, or you can show the plans on the screen while you.
This for final?
It's for final now. Yeah, and we received preliminary approval last time. And
Hold on a second, can we get grand final if it's not on agenda?
It is agenda, it's agendas for prelim and, yeah. We just need to write comments for you.
I don't think there were many comments last time.
Yeah, I actually noticed that on the continued update, it would be you, I mean. Okay. The project still appears unbalanced on the north elevation. Consider a wider single door opening to the two-car garage rather than two doors. Consider alternative planting to form to the hazard area. That seemed more accurate to what you remember. Okay, we can pull the plans up. We can just briefly show you. I can show it how you didn't. Or
Yep. And it's just an 18.4 megabyte file. It's just 18. Maybe I can bring it up.
On the garage elevation, we did widen that, opening to get the full width of the two-car garage for the response. I think it actually helps. It makes a nice change. I'm going to hopefully see if Katie from RRM is on. Or a comment regarding the palm trees. I know she made some changes, but I don't know if she's there.
I don't see a Katie online right now.
we will probably look at the tree list and just see if it.
Go to the tree list.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah, that's 31. One-year-old computer is going to be good.
It's breathing its life out right now. Yeah.
We're going to zoom in and upper right.
Right.
So that's been quantum.
Yeah, it's word. comment is actually to confirm with the fire department. If they're okay with it. But typically they don't really allow palms in the high fire zones. They spread fire. So I think we still need that resolved. But it depends. Then you would never come back to one.
Your planner can just email it to Good Drive.
Yeah.
Okay, so, we want to make a motion with that.
I'll make that motion, final approval, with the condition that the applicant landscape architect confirm with the fire department whether or not they would allow king palms, and if not, to replace them with a different species and confirm with one of the landscape architects on the S bar.
There's a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, moving on to item 3, the Hickson Garage, requested Britt Jewett. Sorry for the delay. For Hickson Andrew 2001 Trust, for the preliminary review of a 500 square foot detached 2-car garage. Following structures exist on the parcel, 1,395 square foot, residence, attached ADU, detached ADU, and the proposed project will not require any cut or fill. Property is a 0.39 acre parcel located at 2729 West Del Sol in the Mission Canyon area. Would you like me to read his comment? Please. The architectural style, size, bulk, and scale is appropriate. Proposed location of garage is logical. 3 ways to incorporate landscape screening to soften architecture, demonstrate clear area visibility to prevent blockage of views from driveway to right of way.
Yeah, so last time we were here, we just presented the architecture. It's a challenging site. There's a lot of trees. We had a harvest report and went through the modification process. We see a modification. Basically, the structure just mirrors the aesthetic of the house. Plaster, black windows and doors. We added a zinc roof that kind of helps with the scale of the building and adds some interest to the street. In principle, the building is cut in the back so that the back wall is only about 7.5 feet, so it gives us an opportunity to have a courtyard outside of the front entry that Sam has landscaped and gone around the property and updated the site walls and created new outdoor areas that relate to the interior of the house. In general, the colors and materials are all derived from the main house, and the structure is really simple. I'll let Sam talk about the integration of the new work with the existing landscape and how the new areas outside the house reinforce the interiors.
Yeah, thank you, Brett. Thank you all. This is the architectural site plan. Can we go to that's plan? Yes. One plan. Just show you how the site is constrained. It's got many existing oak trees. In fact, one is being removed right underneath the garage, and so we've got mitigation trees planned where we can fit them. But overall, we've taken this opportunity to create, as Brett said, the courtyard up above. The garage kind of ends up retaining some of the slope that falls to the parking area, and that makes a nice entry courtyard that we come through some stucco walls and a gate that allows us to come up some stairs to the main entry. It really pronounces where the entry is with the landscape work planting. We've taken the opportunity to correct some drainage concerns and problems that did kind of come down into that area and create some washouts towards that existing. There's a channel that's on the left side of the screen right up against the entrance drive. That channel is frothing white water in the rains of this winter and last. So we're trying to get the water to come through and over and into that through a dry creek. We're kind of celebrating some of the drainage on site with the dry creek using sandstone. We're being very light with our finish grading because of the existing oak canopy and these oak trees. There's an existing kind of fountain up on the top part of the site, rendering right now. We're going to accentuate that sculpture garden, and the owners want to kind of make that more of a special sitting area. So we've got new oak trees proposed. The understory planting will be Buccara and Gracia multiclava and woodwardy ferns and others like succulents. So our plant list depicts many of the things that will work in the understory of the shade of the existing conditions. We have fencing all along for the swallow for Puesta del Sol. So that fencing we're going to be screening from our side a little bit with some shrubbery. We also have kind of shrubbery shown at the upper neighbor views down into the property. And we're going to be fencing the south side of the property. Right now it's a partial fence. We're going to close it off with the wall that returns to the garage to kind of secure the property from over there. It summarizes our landscape direction going. I think that plantings can be quite simple underneath all the oak canopy because it's just quite a
Glasgow patio behind the garage.
It's existing now, Chris, but it's going to be expanded a little bit because of the new grade that's being created by the garage. So we're going to expand a little bit to the south. We're going to connect the stairs coming up from the guest parking spot right there, which does kind of lengthen, but it's an existing courtyard now, but it's smaller than it is proposed.
Is it flagstone on a slab or is it granite joint?
It's on a slab. It's got mortar joints, so we're going to just kind of repeat that a little larger to kind of add it to the steps and roll it into the area to the neighbor south side.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, move on to public comment. Is there anyone online? Audience?
We have nobody signed up for public comment and we have nobody online.
Okay, we'll come back to the board for comments. Alex, Mr.
Seems like a very nicely designed project, both architecturally and landscape wise. It seems very complete. Supported it.
Josh?
I think it's fine. Good project.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's some really nice solutions there. Really like the addition of the dry creeks to solve problems and also aesthetically. So I'm in full support.
As well, so you're here for prelim review. I think if you probably come back, I don't. Okay. Do you want to make a motion? No. The only agenda is for prelim.
Was submitted to return to the consent calendar. That was my note.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. All right, moving on to item 4. St. George Residential Building, President Lonnie Bright. Please make sure Lonnie's on there, right?
Definitely. Lonnie is online.
Agent for Ed St. George, here for preliminary review of a 25-room residential building of approximately 10,196 square feet, divided amongst 5 groups. Each group will share restrooms, kitchen, and common living space. The following structures exist on the parcel currently. One vacant commercial building of about 5,500 square feet, which is to be demolished. The proposed project will require 140 cubic yards of cut and approximately 130 cubic yards of fill. The property is a 9,994 square foot parcel zone C2 located at 971 Embarcadero Del Mar in Isla Vista. Had previous comments. Lonnie, would you like me to read them?
Yeah, you can read them or I can go through them too, either way.
If you'd like to go through one by one since they're A through G.
Okay,
Thank you.
yeah. Yeah, so comment A, rotation of the building and additional landscaping is successful. So thank you for that comment. Comment B, majority of the board appreciates color palette elevations have come together and are generally successful. Thank you again for that comment. Then moving on to comments where modifications were made. Comment C, right side of south elevation fenestration appears awkward restudy. So if we go to sheet A 6.1, which is page 30 of the plan set, or I guess it was broken up, so.
I think it's page 18, elevations on page 18 of this.
I had to break it up because it was a little bit of a longer file.
Yeah. Yeah, since it got its development plan approval, these are pretty close to construction levels, so it's pretty beefy right now.
Yeah.
We use the size of our Adobe PDFs automatically. Why don't you guys do that?
Oh no, these are. I mean, it was a 70 megabyte file, and I broke it up into 3 files.
But I mean, can you reduce that? Like, you know,
Reduce it for-
PDF has reduced file size, and I mean, basically the same thing. It's just translating something much.
But I actually think.
Description.
Well, because if I reduce it,
But so reduce that it got really grainy. We can read the text on that.
Program.
Moving fast on my surface, so I think it is.
Madam Chair, it's also, so oftentimes they are reduced and it will only reduce it down to a certain amount, and that's as much as it can go.
Yeah.
But I wrote them down, yeah, 18.
Yeah, so
this is not a traditional 18 because it's the part 2.
yeah, so sheet A 6.3. So keep going right there with the color elevations.
Yeah, it is. 18, there we go.
Yeah. So yeah, so the correction on this, so the elevation in reference is actually the east elevation because the building had rotated and our architect had not relabeled the correct direction of the elevation. And so it was the right side of this east elevation where we added that black. So there's a wainscoting material, it's a hardy panel material. And so we extended that up to provide a vertical element on that elevation where prior there wasn't that vertical black element, the hardy collection seagrass that you're seeing there in between the two accented yellow pop outs. So that feature was added to sort of kind of balance that elevation and be a little bit more consistent with some of the other elevations. And also on this plan sheet, comment D, consider adding wainscoting or detail that elevates design of the south elevation. So that was also in response to that comment. Then moving on to comment E.
On what? What material is that? The dark stuff, the dark material, what is it? Is it that paint?
Sorry, I can't quite understand or make out what you're saying.
The material, what is the dark material? Is it just ink or is it a change in actual material?
If you scroll down to the bottom of this sheet, there is the material callouts. So that is the hardy seagrass. So it's this kind of textured cementitious material, and it would be painted in that iron ore color. And then it would have a little bit of a trim band around it that projects out in order to provide the material transition between that and the plaster body of the building.
You can continue on with the comment.
Okay, doke. Comment E, consider extending a 3-dimensional detail feature above carport on north elevation. So that is going to be the west elevation. And so currently proposed and previously proposed on that elevation is a green screen vine trellis mesh material. And at the prior hearing, the owner had verbalized that they do not want to extend a more 3-dimensional canopy element due to potential damage by moving trucks or other large vehicles in the drive aisle. So if you scroll to the west elevation, we can just quickly look at that, and then we can move over to the detail for that because it does have some projection from the body of the building. So if you want to scroll first to the west elevation. Yep, right there. So the wire mesh vine trellis, so that is that element that we were talking to. And then if you go to sheet A 9.2, which I think is like 3 sheets after this one. Yeah, this one. And so the detail in the top right corner there, detail 19. So the green screen mesh projects beyond the building by a couple of inches, and then the green screen mesh has some dimensional features to it as well. So it is projecting out beyond the building a couple inches. I know it's not quite the projection that the board was originally asking for, but the owner isn't really comfortable presenting anything further than that. Then moving on to comments F and G, which are landscape related. So those would be near the end of the plan set, sheets L 1.0. Comment F, restudy plant species in high traffic areas to incorporate plants that can tolerate high traffic. Consider adding permeable pathways for foot traffic through planter. Study ways to incorporate larger shrubs along Embarcadero Del Mar. Consider planting another tree along the corner of Trigo and Embarcadero. So if we go to the landscape sheet, which would be near the end of the plan set. It's going to be, I think, like the 6th to last page.
Like, I'm just moving faster.
No, you, let me make you a co-host.
I actually don't even have the invite today.
Let me send you one.
So while that's coming up, I'll just kind of briefly speak to the changes. So the parkway plant material was changed out from the shrub and grand cover species that were previously proposed to ornamental grass species as recommended by the board. So there's a Atlas fescue and then a Canyon Prince wild rye that are proposed within there. And then a floss silk tree was added at the corner of the intersection, a little set in, so there's still adequate visibility at the intersection. So those were the changes that were added to address that comment. And then also on the sheet, comment G, consider randomizing number of trees in the row along driveway 131 rather than 222. So that was switched to where we have 3 king palm trees in a row, and then we have a Brisbane box that breaks them up. So it's 3, 1, 3, 1, 3 that we have along that drive aisle. And so those were the changes made to address the board's comments. And then this plan set, as you can see, is closer to a construction level. So there's a number of other finer detail points that have been added to the plan set since the last time you've seen this project.
Now, if we go to.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
You mind speaking into the microphone, John? Speak it into the microphone.
You know, if we could go into, back to sheet 89.2.
Bonnie, can you hear John? Is his mic working?
Yeah, I could hear that right now.
You made a note here about detail 28. Basically between 1 and 22.
21 and 22.
If anyone's speaking, I can't hear them. Sorry.
Is on 9.2, yeah, this detail here is standard, you can buy those ready made. But I think it's a sort of a colonial detail. I think it should be just simplified. I think it's out of context with the rest of the bill.
Or you want to share your screen, whatever. So you're all set up.
So what's
studied?
So restudy detail 26 on the windows?
Detail 28.
Oh, 38. Okay. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
All right, we'll move on to public comment. Is there anyone online? With an audience?
We have nobody online and nobody in the audience.
Okay, we'll close public comment and move on to comments from the board. Start with Josh.
I think it looks to be fairly complete and that's what the comments are being resolved. With the discussion about transition, they did have a question. Transition details from the map and the wall and find that.
We'll go to 6.1.
That was in response to the soft elevation comment, that being potentially offered. So confused about this. It said south elevation, and when we started looking at the east elevation, there's all that. And it's for a half one. Yeah, incorrect. That's the thing that that's not.
Yeah, because they had their labels hang up.
Right, so just for clarification, the east elevation is the one, east elevation and the north elevation, the one that featured as Wainscott and added.
When the study was there before, they extended a section of it on the right side of the east elevation.
Right, so now it's fully around the building. Right? The detail there that connects that to that plaster.
You go to the whatever to the top of the image.
One more.
You're right there.
think the elevation.
John? Your other comment?
No, I have no further comment.
Okay, Alex?
No, I think that the details are very nicely done, very complete. The plans are a little bit difficult to read, and there's so many pages, so it's a little bit of a challenge, but I took my time and it looks very nicely detailed project.
Yeah, I agree. I think the project has come a long way and the comments were addressed and I would support.
Great, so this project is here for preliminary review. Then let me purchase.
We have to make a motion for preliminary review as preliminary approval as proposed, continue to final consent.
Do we have a second?
Yes.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Great. Thank you, Lonnie.
Thank you so much.
Move on to item 5, the young accessory structures. They look to be online. So at the request of Jennifer Siemens, agent for Bob Young, to consider is here for conceptual review a 2,222 square foot 2-story structure that contains a 729 square foot garage, 270 square foot workshop, 735 square foot storage room, and a carport. The following structures exist on the parcel of 3,100.
Share screen.
Yes, I will share screen. You open it.
Good morning. This is Jennifer Siemens. Are you ready for me to get started or do you need a minute?
Just 1 second. I would change you. I'm going to start sharing my screen so my computer's a little faster. Let me finish just reading the description really quick. The project requires 206 cubic yards of fill and 71, or there's just a typo. I think it's 206 cubic yards of cut and 71 cubic yards of fill on a 1.82 acre parcel located at 2938 Torito Road in the Torrey Canyon area. And let me share my screen, Jennifer, and you.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead and direct me which one there.
Okay, you ready?
Haley, who has it?
Jennifer, can you read?
Are you ready for me?
Yes, we're ready.
Okay. So to orient you, in case you don't know where this is, it's off Torito Road off of Toro Canyon Road, a small, like a rural-ish neighborhood. And this parcel, it's 1.82 acres and it's located at the end of what's informally called El Paseo Lane, which is a little lane off of Torito Road. And this particular parcel is at the very end off of kind of a long driveway. So it's not visible to the road or any of the neighbors. And on the property, there's the house. And on the east side of the property, there's Toro Canyon Creek, and there's quite a few oak trees. And the area where we're proposing the structure is on the west side of the property, in an area that's basically an open space, kind of a service area. And it's really the only place that's, I think, appropriate to put a structure because we're causing minimal encroachment into a couple of oak trees. We're not having to remove any trees as a result of the structure. And we're about as far away from the creek as you can get. because the area is, has an overlay of potential biological merit, we got a bio report that's being reviewed by the county right now, prepared by David Kisner. And we're not in the buffer area of any ESH, according to his report. And we are going to propose some mitigation, either planting some oak understory or additional oaks, just to kind of beef up the biological health there and mitigate for, like, I think the maximum we have is like 15% critical root zone encroachment into an oak tree. So right now there's no garage or covered parking there, and the owner would like to have that in some storage and workshop space. So I'm going to let Kevin Dumaine, our architect, take it from here.
All right, thank you, Jennifer. Yeah, you covered most of the key site points. Can we jump over to the site photos real briefly? They're on a separate file.
You know, I don't see a photo file in the, oh, is it part of the oak report?
No, not part of the report.
Okay. All right, so we'll skip that then. I think she's covered the key points. Why don't we skip over to the floor plan then? Very simple structure. You know, on the ground floor, we've got the 2-car garage, workshop to the right, and then a little carport to the left. You know, one point to maybe add is currently there is no covered enclosed garage on the property, so this would provide that function. It goes into the service corner of the yard where, you know, currently it's a parking area, some screen plantings, a wood pile. So it's really going to kind of improve that portion of the site. And then, you know, the second floor is just a large open storage room with a stair around the back side. Then let's take a look at the next sheet with the elevations. You know, the basic idea is to do a board and bat structure, you know, a little bit barn-like. It kind of tucks into the slope of the, which goes from, you know, high point on the northwest, low point kind of towards the southeast. And, you know, just the saddlebags on the north and south ends here. Very simple. If we go to the next page, we can take a quick look at, you know, the upper building section kind of describes structure in a little more detail. We've got, you know, a little gentle step up to the workshop, a little step down to the carport, then the storage room upstairs. You know, at the north and south sides, it's only like a 6'1" plate. The exposed, you know, slope ceiling, some tie rods in there. Pretty simple. Well, why don't we just go back to the elevations? I think that's really the key drawing to look at. And, you know, here that's very preliminary round to get your comments. You know, after the design review process, we will get back into the drawings, add more detail, you know, come back with colors and finishes, the exterior lights. You know, we've got some notes in there right now about them being night sky compatible right now. And it's just, you know, fairly simple conceptual design for this project, and I'd like to hear your comments.
Questions from the board? Then move on to public comment. Is there anyone online?
Nobody online.
Okay. We'll come back to comments from the board. Start now.
I think it's the kind of structure you expect to find on the end of the long and winding road. And I think it's sweet and simple, and make it clear the way they can deliver. And the music is very remarkable. I agree. It's a great improvement of what you showed before. So I support that.
Sorry, it's hard to hear. It is muffled.
On
No critiques so far.
You both supported the project and
I have nothing further.
I haven't read it on the either. So it is Jennifer conceptual. It's worth feeling we can take this back to feeling the final.
We've been very clear every year. Alternate.
Okay.
Almost ready for the consent. So detailed, all we need the details, I'm not sure if it's been landscape.
Well, that's the question. Is there any proposed landscaping or?
No, there's no landscape at the point. As Jennifer pointed out, there'll be some what's the appropriate term? It was part of the report about the oaks. There'll be some understory plantings. You know, in that area of the site, which if we had the photos, you could see is a lot of, you know, bark. Very simple.
It would be good to come back with what you guys are proposing for that, even if it's just a really simple inventory.
There are plant species called out in the biological report, which I think would be sufficient, but I do think one of these sizes maybe a quick plan.
Yeah. So I think we can agenda if you complete them final on consent if you're bring all the details back. All right, we'll move on to item 6 was dropped from the agenda. Moving on to item 7.
Thank you.
Thank you. The item 7 is the Cookie Trust edition request of Steve Walton, agent for the Cookie Trust. Here for preliminary review on a 920 square foot addition and remodel in the existing single family residence and a 509 little foot 8-foot tall redwood perimeter fence and gate. This project is also a request for modification for a 2-foot encroachment into the 5-foot setback. Following structures exist on the parcel, a 930 square foot main house, a deck, balcony, guest house, attached garage, and a foot deck. The proposed project will require no better fill. The property is on a 0.4 acre parcel located at 3517 Padaro Lane, Metro area. Here. It's me.
Oh,
We have to change to my computer.
While you're looking, I'll introduce ourselves. Steve Walton from Seth Land Consulting. Our design team here, Sylvia Cool from Standard Architecture, and Chris Merritt from Common Ground Landscaping. So we have our team here. In terms of processing, we're studio. Ground studios, yeah. Advertising. And in terms of processing, we're currently, as I mentioned, we are incomplete for our application for a CDP modification.
Great. Would you like me to go ahead and read the comments from us?
That'd be great. Thanks.
Architectural style is appropriate. Addition blends well with existing architecture. Return with site plans to show the full extent of each survey on architectural plans and landscape plans. Landscape plan means further development. Return with more information demonstrating the project as viewed from the beach. Provide plant names, size, quantities, etc. Show both existing and proposed landscape. Project shows a large amount of DG. Consider introducing additional materials and breaking up hardscape materials to reduce the amount of DG. Study location of fire pit. Here's operate as proposed. And there's a plan room already there. Okay. Provide drawing of gate, return with photos of neighboring property structures to demonstrate relationship of proposed additions with neighboring residences. Provide details of windows facing adjacent properties to demonstrate how privacy issues will be addressed. Return with additional 3D renderings. And there's a planner memo that I'm just gonna show on the screen. the planner comment, since last being heard by SFAR in January of this year, conduct a review, an additional case for a minor CUP has been added to the project scope. The minor CUP is for structures including portions of the proposed fence, gate, and trash enclosure within the front setback. Regarding the project as a whole, we are looking for positive comments and preliminary approval for the project in support of the requested setback modification. We'll refer back. Would that like to start with architectural plans or the landscape? Yes, I can feel split between good morning and the architects. I can address the architectural comments. From Mark Studio, the talk about the landscape comments. So we start with the privacy concerns. Share this a little bit of a comment. We basically work together with Mark Studio to address your comments. I start with the architecture. I start with the overview and yes. What you see is there's photos on the right side which you ask us to show the condition, the current condition which is there, and when we basically took photos, that's the section down below. It is other current condition. That's that. Because if we scroll down, yes. So you can see the neighbor, there's the west neighbor at the top and the east neighbor at the bottom. And we are able to look into the west neighbor's driveway currently. So we could do photos from our side versus the east neighbor. The properties on the market, and we took the real estate photos available online. And you can see that both in the top row in the center as well as on the left bottom photo, there is no privacy screening currently on both of our neighbors to protect any views from their side onto our side. So they're basically using their property fence to fence. There's no hedges, no landscaping, so on and so forth. So when we work back to the diagram we had up first, what we worked on with Brown Studio is to establish, there's some of the privacy planning is already there, basically to strengthen that and to kind of plant it all the way starting from the beach side, the south side of the guest house, all the way, along the proposed addition and the current existing main residence, and then also on the west side, separating essentially both driveways from each other with privacy screening. So that, in addition to that, I let Chris talk a little bit more about the fencing and so on and so forth. So that was to basically keep on the ground floor all three properties private from each other. And then if you go back to the section, as you can see, there's a section marked on the plan. And so one thing which I explained in January when we were here and illustrated now with the section because it's easier to understand it's such a 45-degree angle, is that we only have, there's one existing large window which looks, we added two existing large windows where you can look out. One of them you can see in blue, it looks out on the beach, still past our neighbor, and then the other one is from the secondary bedroom which faces northeast, and that is basically screened under the privacy hedge, so you can't look across to the neighbor. And then on the other two sides, you can see the cross section we have either no fenestration to the east, or you could only see a storage above your eye level on the west. So when you look out those windows, you see the sky, and then if the neighbor would look up, you can see the person there standing. They also pull and float into the residence so that you can see each other. You can just see a little bit of the structure, but there's no kind of observing each other or seeing each other. So try to make all the properties private with the hedges and the way we located the windows. Like maybe one talk a little bit more. Somebody switch to speak there?
Yes.
You can also make, yeah. Quite nice.
Yeah, I should probably give a little background on the landscape because we had the fortune to see your comments from concept. So maybe just to start with that for a second, because that was really the impetus for our design. And I think the feedback that that was listed in the concept was around the amount of hardscape, and also fire location and screening. And that's really where we started. And at our first site visit, that was exactly what we saw too, where you buy these properties and you want to feel like it's private on the edges from your neighbor, but then also give to the beach. So the concept for this project from a landscape perspective is really a flow-through garden that is on the beach that's of Carpinteria. The pathways that are in the central courtyard previously is mostly hardscape. We really try to reduce that. The hardscape design is really based off of more or less kind of the idea of waves flowing through the property, which create more planting for us along the edges. So the edges would be taller plant material that are very coastal and are super resilient to the natural environment because this Monara Lane, I'm sure many of you know her, is very, it floods quite often. So our plant palette has to be super resilient, drought tolerant, nonetheless, obviously tolerant with winds, all the natural environment. So in addition to screening. So to Sylvia's point about the neighbors, we really try to treat the edges tall with hedging and then also select trees to give it this kind of coastal leafy quality that weaves through the property. But then also on the interior, have it be fairly low to allow the building to levitate. That's really what this is. It's a full house. And so the beauty of this house is that you can really see through the entire property. So we wanted to preserve that as much as possible and not clog it up in the middle, but all the while providing screening from the neighbors that Sylvia is describing. And so also to do that, we did also, we're proposing new fencing along all the edges of the property, which right now both sides of the neighbor to the west and to the east are pretty much falling down at this point and fairly see-through. So the idea is that it'd be a natural wood that would weather silver, and having that be to a height where it provides privacy to the neighbors when they're in the center, when our clients are in the central courtyard, because really when you're in the architecture, you're on a second story looking out towards the beach. So when you're standing inside looking down, you want something a little taller on the ground and to screen that. So we studied that really closely in model. And then in terms of the fire pit, I think the comments around the location, I think that made total sense from the concept where it was in a little bit of an awkward spot, tucked in like right against the building with a lot of hard surface. And so after a lot of discussion with the owners, we're proposing that being on the beach side, whereby all the decking that's on the beach side, that is intended to, again, levitate above the sand to be as light of a touch as we possibly can make it, essentially mimicking the full architecture where there's four corners touching down on the sand and that's it, with the planting on the beach side being essentially naturalized with Ramus, Condensatus, Dudleyas, Areogonums, which are naturally found on that stretch of Carpinteria Beach. So really that being kind of a gift to the beach goers so that it feels like it's of that context. Yeah, we could look through the renderings. Yeah, if you get exactly. So this is the street frontage. You can see, you can see the fencing, obviously, and the idea is that it really just nestles, but still you can see it's not fully blocking the architecture. You can still start to see interior inside the fencing. The second view is standing in the central courtyard, looking at kind of these flowing gravel paths, so you can see how much planting there is now. It's very little hardscape, and that was intended, so it feels like you're really walking through a garden and less of like less hardscape, and also making it more permeable too. And this is looking underneath the house. So when I was talking earlier about wanting to see through the building, because how rare is it that we get to work on projects like this where the building is floating above the landscape, and also thinking about the shade and context. So this almost, we see those poles almost like canes, like the queen palms that are already naturally found on that property. It's an extension of that with, you know, more kind of forest below, and you can see right through. And the fourth view, this is the beach side. So you can see this again is the rendering showing the context of the fire pit kind of floating on a deck above the sand with access down to the beach and naturalized planting.
Jonathan, real quick, can you click off of that participant panel so that?
Oh, yeah.
All right. You know, some landscapers should go back.
I don't think so. Happy to answer questions when we have them.
Yes, there's seeing if there were any comments.
You may have addressed all of the written comments, but you might have other.
Okay, yeah, we'll move back. Yeah, we'll come back to the questions from the board and we'll have the.
I have two questions. We had a comment letter from a neighbor regarding a windscreen, proposed 7-foot high timber screen. They're worried about their own views. Can you walk us through what's happening, where that is, and what the solution is?
Yes, yeah, the bottom left rendering, or yeah, you could, yeah, landscape finder array too. Yeah. It's, yeah, that one, exactly. If you zoom in, you see exactly where your mouse is right there. Yep, exactly. So you can see there's actually a cut through in that screen for ocean views for our client. And then the neighbor, I think the screen that's in question is the section, the panel that your hand is on right now. Because the views, the panels behind it are actually hidden currently by an existing hedge. So, and I think the question from the neighbor is about the height of the screen is current existing is, I think it's a plexiglass clear screen. We're proposing it being timber with slats, about 4-inch gaps. It looks like it's solid, but it's actually not. You can, if you're looking at the elevation straight on below the structure, that's what you would see if you're looking at it straight on. So it's not solid completely, but we totally hear the concern of the neighbors and definitely are willing to, you know, hear their concerns and work through revisions as needed.
Right, is that?
That's exactly right. It's that section right there where your cursor is.
It's queen palm heavy. What's the reasoning behind lack of variation in species? Just a love of queen palm, or?
Actually, this is my first time using queen palms on a project, so it was all context for us on this, Chris, where we drove up and down Pedaro Lane, and it's almost like a palm forest. You know, normally oftentimes these palms on projects, there's already quite a few palms already on the project, and then also on the adjacent neighbor's side. So the intention with the queen palms was to fit into the context of the neighborhood, but then also the canes of the palms kind of were a reinterpretation of the poles of the architecture, so to mimic that feeling in that concept. So that's why we chose queen palms.
Move on to public comment. There was one letter in the file, but this is the concern about the 7-foot high timber screen. this one every day. Pledged. And is there anyone, you're doing in the audience, is there anyone online?
We have nobody online for public comment.
Excuse me, this is Jennifer Siemens. I am here just to talk a little bit about that screen that was discussed recently on behalf of George Discant.
Yes, go ahead, you have to.
I'm sorry, so hard to hear you guys today. Is it appropriate for me to talk right now?
Yes, we're gonna open up public comment and you'll have 3 minutes to make your presentation.
Okay,
Go ahead.
right now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, thanks. I appreciate the team's willingness to restudy that screen. And I understand that it's slatted and it's not totally opaque, but I think it's still the neighbor's point is that it's more or less like a solid, very tall structure that would impede views, and it just seems really kind of out of place to put something so tall and imposing in the front area there that's raised on that second deck. So we would like to see that area, that design and the material restudied to do something that's a little, more in keeping with what's there, something that you can see through, something that's lower. It just seems like it's kind of out of place to put something so tall and just solid there, more or less solid. I know there's like a little viewing area through that, but if you were to look up the coast from the neighboring properties, I think that would kind of stick out and just like be something that would be totally in the view shed there for the neighbors. So we would like to see that restudied, and we really appreciate your willingness to listen to our concern about this.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Mm-hmm.
You have a minute to respond.
Jennifer, I just want to clarify the section of fencing you're referring to. Are you referring to the section of fencing that the legend item number 8 is on, just that section, or are you referring to the whole wood slat?
Are you able to hear Chris? Jennifer?
Yeah, I'm referring to, I think it would mostly be the portion of it that is along it would be more east facing.
Brewster is running right now. Yeah, perfect. That section that's east facing, I think is what you're referring to,
Or
right?
south facing, the smaller
Yeah,
portion,
yeah.
the portion with
Yeah.
the cutout. I'm not sure actually how much the other side of it would interfere with views, but I think the whole of it should just be reviewed for like, is it really necessary to do something 7 feet high and so solid, because I do think it's more kind of, self-serving for privacy for these owners versus the neighbors. It's like, it's just something that it doesn't really, it's not really in keeping with what you see along Padero Lane on the beach side. So I don't know if it's just the one portion or if it's the whole thing that needs to be looked at.
Great. We will, unless there's anyone else online, we'll close public comment. Okay. And we'll come back to comments from the board. Start with.
I like this project very much. I think the way you handle the architecture of the building stepping back along the site, it makes it kind of a beach complex, and the walking through the palms, and I think that's very sensitive and nicely done. And it's a really nice little project. So I be enthusiastic about supporting it. Nothing to add. Nothing to add. Thank you.
Just reviewing the comments from the last meeting, seems like all of the issues have been resolved. I don't have an opinion about the fire pit. I think it's fine the way it is. But it seems like the applicants have addressed all of our comments. I also think that, yeah, it is advisable that the neighbor resolve their issues around screening and come back to us with a solution that they're both happy with.
Yeah, that's basically what I was gonna say. I think it looks really good otherwise, but kind of like to see how we address the neighbor's concerns with the screening. So that's it. Big motion. Let's go. Yes, would encourage more variety in palm species, but it's up to you. Make a motion for preliminary approval as submitted with the applicant to converse with the neighbor.
We need to speak directly to that. No, you're the one that wanted to make the motion.
Okay, what's in the memo?
Mention all these things that we're saying.
So what's the total area now? The beach has some points.
Like 15 square feet, I think, because it's a very small house, just where it kind of.
Probably because it happens in several places, right?
Yes, as each kind of pod sticks into the setback of the corner, so it's total maybe 15 square feet.
That I think should be noticed.
Yeah, so the board is in support of the minor conditional use permit and going to the setback and read the case numbers.
No, I think that's just for reference that has to go to rules.
Madam Chair, I think so the reason why it's going for preliminary approval right now is because it's a modification, and so that has to be approved prior to getting approval from the decision maker. So the findings that we're asking for is that the board is supportive of the modification of if we located within setback.
So yes, the board is supportive.
And we have a second?
Second, we need a little bit of information why the rest of the is because of the design that's rotated, so the modification, the encroachment is only 15 square feet total on 3 locations, right? Is that right? So it's very, very minor and provides some natural setback on the because of the rotation of the planes. That's clear and
All those in favor? Aye. I think you can come back on and say once you go to the VA. Yeah.
Yeah, make sure you resolve that issue of the views of works. Okay.
Yeah, once resolved with the neighbors, yes.
And of course, all the detail.
Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Chair, I want to just jump in here real quick because I wasn't able to give an update earlier. And just briefly give you guys one minor staff update. LRP does have notes. Okay, so the outdoor lighting and signs ordinance amendments, they're going to be going to the Montecito Planning Commission on August 21st and the county PC on September 4th. So we wanted to give you guys a heads up so you're aware of those. Yeah, sure. So the outdoor lighting and signs ordinance amendments, those are going to be going to the Montecito PC on August 21. and then to the county PC on September 4th.
The outdoor,
Outdoor lighting, and
I've seen them on the,
I don't believe those have gone.
you can send some information, that would be good.
We can certainly talk to the long range planning about that. I believe they're actually item number 9 on today's agenda. So you could
Also, Alex Huddle had approached me when I was chair to review some of the lighting standards, if I recall. So I think that was part of the guide.
Okay, great. Yeah, sorry, I didn't want to forget. So that's all I have for an update today.
So question for today, I thought we had having to review the SB10 today, but then it's not on the agenda.
It's not on the member agenda, but it's on the standard agenda. I just didn't transfer it over.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we'll move on to the last, second to last item today. So item 8, the Rubin addition at the request of Mike Rubin, property owner, here for preliminary review of a 996 square foot addition to the existing residence. There is an existing 1,424 square foot single family dwelling on the property, as well as a carport. The project will require no cut or fill. Property is 1 acre parcel located at 1041 Palomino Road in the Mission Canyon area. The previous comments were size, bulk, and scale of the addition is acceptable. Board appreciates the development of proposals since it was last heard. Consider overhangs or weather protection above the doors, openings in single family dwellings in cabana. And the cabana requires additional architectural detailing, including roof projections such as a trellis or porch. Is the applicant online?
Yes, hello.
Hello, I'll read the planner memo quickly and then you can. Project was last seen June.
Kelly, do you want to share that on the screen?
Yes, sorry. Project was last seen on June 21st of this year. It was asked to return for preliminary review. It received generally positive comments. The board recommended that the applicant consider overhangs or weather protection above the doors and door openings for the single family dwelling in cabana. The elevations can be seen on sheets A5 and A8. Yeah. I'm gonna see though, is the cabana still proposed to get? Okay, it's not listed in the project description, that's why, or if it had dropped. But, okay, so we can just move back. And I think can state your name and just focus your presentation on things that have progress with the comments from the last.
Oh, would you like me to go? Sorry, it's like some others have mentioned, it's really hard to hear you guys. Would you like me?
No, you can go ahead with addressing the comment.
Oh, okay, thanks so much. Yeah, so I think if you go down to A11, I think you can see all the structures, including the cabana, and we addressed, starting with comment C, consider overhangs over the door openings for a single family dwelling in cabana. If you go up 1 to A11, there you go, yeah. So we're proposing trellises for overhangs over the openings with a California native morning glory. So on the west elevation there, we have all the door openings, and on the, or no, that'd be east elevation, and then on the west elevation of that landscaped area. And then the cabana, we did a larger trellis covered in California native morning glories and with a decorative fixture, so it creates a nice little moment. And they're rendered throughout, so if you, the colored elevations are on A12. And I believe the renderings are on A13. And the cabana should be just below that. A14 and 15.
Anything else before you find any questions from the board?
Could you hear us? Did you have any questions for the board?
I'm sorry.
Anything else before we?
Oh, did you have anything else before we move on to questions from the board?
No, I did not.
Thank you.
I have one question after that. Don, I think you're in one of the highest fire zones up there. You hear me? So I'm not sure you're gonna be able to have vines attached to your structure. Have you already run that by the fire department?
No, we have not run that by the fire department, but we certainly can do that.
Okay. I think it'll probably come out when you're going through planning and building and safety, but I would do. Yeah, and then also, did you have a material called out for your trellis structures yet? Is it wood or steel?
The trellis we were going to do in steel.
Do you have any details of the structures? They seem to be just kind of sketchy, clean pen. Do you have any designs or drawings of this? Yeah, these trellises would look like.
The trellis was a simple structure. It was maybe, I assume, like a 1x1 armature for the morning glory to climb. The idea where all visibility would be covered in vines. So I suppose the main issue would be discussing with fire department if that would be acceptable or not. If not, we can restudy the structure on the trellis and do something that's just steel with no vine.
No, we'll move on to public comment. I don't think there are any letters. We'll check really quick. Nope. No one in the audience?
No one.
Anyone online? Very turned off. Yeah, we showed the planner memo. It was mostly to address that the applicant has addressed this comment. So we'll move on to comments from the board.
We turn the volume down in here.
No, it's
No.
Yeah.
along the security.
That better?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's same, right? Turn it down in here. It doesn't.
And here it doesn't affect that one.
Okay. Then yeah, I don't need to be that high.
That's better.
8:30. I have that off. Yeah. No, whatever he did just fixed it. And someone had turned it way up. Okay.
The comment on the trellises is a little bit more complex than the applicant seems to present. I mean, it will be shown in the side elevations, the posts, horizontal members, and then major members and smaller members can all be made of steel if that's the request. But it's not just the wire hanging there or some kind of minor metal pieces. They have to be held maybe 4 feet up or something like that. And it's not shown in the, let's say, the north elevation. It's shown the side of this trellis element. It's not shown what it would look like. I think we really mean it, not just the solution wire and something more substantial than be permanent and create shade and interesting structures.
Mike, are you able to hear Alex? I know we're having mic issues.
Yes, yeah, I can hear him. It's a little strange, but it's a little better.
Well, I think that the addition of the trellises is an improvement. But how they're done is important. And also, is the ceiling vaulted in this Cabana?
Yes, I believe so.
Well, then you're gonna trap some hot air in there. I think you should put, some vents on the gable ends there. I mean, or you can give that some thought, because I think you're gonna end up with, some stale air in there. And also going back to the, other elevations of the front.
Greenhouse or the Cabana?
Yeah, yeah, this sketch here, you know, I still think the front of those windows could take, could use some shade elements there. You know, I just think that the concept there of breaking up those plain surfaces could be developed or further, whichever. Okay, that'd be my comment.
Yeah.
I think my first comment is in context, and I think that the existing house is really tired and not attractive at all. It's a very tired old looking building, and I really do appreciate the owner and the applicant's efforts here to bring it up to current, quality standards. So, it's a very nice project from that standpoint to improve this property. It has a very low impact site and environment. It's a remodel and adaptation of an older style, making it new again. So I think some latitude should be granted for that reason. It's a definite improvement to the neighborhood, the landscaping being proposed, and just the new finishes and the new treatment of houses. It's all really, really nice. So other than that, there's this discussion about the trellis element, which, based on what I just said, I think I'm ambivalent to. The wire treatment seems kind of just lab substance. It would probably be better if it was just a wood or, some kind of firewise trellis. Standard trellis material. But I certainly wouldn't stand in front of getting this project through the process for something. Either they do it correctly or don't do it at all, or I can support it either way, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree with the comments that have been said thus far. I think the trellis element is not there yet, and given that you probably won't be able to have vines growing on the structure, you may need to rethink what that looks like. Maybe one suggestion might be like a perforated metal horizontal screen that would give you the shade, and it could just be connected to the house without posts. But yeah, the solution as is, and what Alex sort of hinted at, is that the 1-inch members would not be sufficient to span that length. So you're more than likely going to end up with probably 3x3 posts. And so then you're getting into something heavier. So we just want to see what that looks like. And so develop the trellis element further. I think beyond that, you have addressed the other comments. So I'm happy with the progress. Thanks.
So it's here for this item is here for preliminary review. The board feel like final full board review development. Does anyone want to make a motion?
Okay, I have to move for preliminary approval. The project as submitted, except that the trellis or some kind of shading devices requested by the board be further developed.
I'll second.
I can second that.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Our last item on today's agenda is the SP10.
Yeah.
review.
SB9.
SP9. Oh, I thought it was 9 and 10 we did.
I think 9 was both of them, yeah.
Oh, okay. Good night. Student side.
Karina, she should be online.
Hello, good morning. Can everyone hear me okay? I'll try that again. Can everyone hear me okay? This is Karina.
I can go back and check.
Actually, I did reset. Okay, I did it. Well, we'll do 11:30.
Thanks for your patience today, guys.
Sorry, guys.
I know, right?
It looks better.
Online, it's so hard. It's just like
muffled,
garbled and muffled.
It's no, it's the H. We're not even off of. We're barely on to the microphones here because I'm hooked up to the HDMI because that presentation computer completely died yesterday. But I'm not sure why it died. The IT couldn't give me any answers what happened with that one. So it's something to do with the system Dante, which controls all of the audio and video. That's something's not communicating. It was better when we had the switches for the microphones on and off. Do you remember that when we could just switch it on with the physical switch? Yeah, exactly. I feel like we had less issues with that compared to now. Oh yeah. You guys have more.
Hello, one more time. Can anyone hear me? This is
Yes,
Karina.
can you hear
Great.
us?
Yes, I can hear you. It looks like my audio was cut earlier and I was trying to speak, but sounds like it's fixed now. So one more time. Everyone can hear me okay?
Yes, we're just gonna get our members back into the.
Okay.
We just took a recess. We'll be back at 11:28.
11:28. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah,
It sounds like she was able to hear
what we were saying right now.
I think so. When you speak directly into the mic and kind of slow and clear, it is
better.
It's better, yeah. So I think that's probably the trick. What a day.
Yeah, what a day for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think even worse yesterday because they didn't have this HDMI figured out as much. I think APAC had 12 items yesterday and MBAR stayed until 4:40.
And it was the whole time it was like this.
Was like this, yeah. David had some strongly worded emails go out to IT. It's like, what's going on, guys? But I guess it's not IT that handles this computer, it's ICT.
It's ICT, so it's up on the 4th floor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's I mean there's not much that our team can do.
Yeah. Any plans for the weekend?
I'm working tomorrow all day for the EOC.
Oh, David's already there today, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, so I have a 12-hour shift tomorrow, and I'm going on vacation next week though. So
okay,
that's okay. I don't mind torching.
Yeah, he just said he has to work 12 hours at the EOC tomorrow.
It's okay. I'm leaving for 3 weeks, or almost 3 weeks on a trip to Europe on Wednesday. So I can handle the 12-hour shift.
How are we gonna run without you?
You guys will have Willow
next week, right?
Next week. So,
yeah.
So you're in good hands. She's good planner. Okay.
Just got an email from somebody saying that historic resources in Boxing Canyon, Adobe are being threatened. So I forwarded to Keith, but I don't know what much more we can do. Like, I don't know how they prioritize historically significant buildings on fire versus other buildings on fire.
No, yeah. I mean, I guess the fire department.
Yeah, I sent it to Keith and Kim, but I got their vacation messages. Okay, we have everybody back. Karina, can you hear us?
Yes. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, she's not in the building. Yep, so she'll be doing it via Zoom.
Yes.
Do you usually hear me now?
Karina, were you able to hear Kaylee?
Not really. It's very, very fuzzy, but I'll do my best as long as you guys can hear me.
Okay. Why do you?
Because this is hardwired.
Yes, what we're doing. What?
Did you want to give your you can give your comments on this one. This one seems to be she be hearing you guys fine.
So, Karina, just to give you a little context for what we're talking about in here, we are trying to make sure there's a good way, an efficient way to give you comments from the VAR because the mics are having difficulties. So we're just kind of working on that right now.
Just all sit around this table and get this done.
Just get out of here.
Being slaves to technology. You can actually bend it back and forth. It takes turns talking, right? What the hell's going on with this chair? Never put the push on. This wasn't even technology.
You play a couple of days on the table. Can you hear me, Karina?
Yes.
Okay. I'm also sharing the one sharing my screen, so just you can tell me where to.
Can you hear me?
Josh wants to be sure he's heard.
Yes.
I'll do this.
Okay.
All right. Would you guys mind just jumping to slide 16 for me, please?
You have to do it like an army group. Just get around the mic and sing.
Great. Yeah. So
Good luck tomorrow. Chris, you have to come over here and sit in my lap.
Bye, Joe.
all right. Am I good to get started or do we need another couple
I'm just
Bring
trying
the
to close
coffee
this that panel.
Oh, sure.
You can go ahead, Karina.
Okay, great. So you guys may recall that we first did this presentation. We went through Senate Bill 9, and then we also went through telecom. And today we were going to focus on getting comments returned to us and having a discussion over the telecom design standards. So just as a refresher, I can quickly just go through the PowerPoint again, unless there's interest of maybe just jumping into comments. Is there a preference?
I think we can go side by side if anyone to just see if anyone has any comments. Yeah, I don't think you have to re-present it to us.
Okay, great.
I have no idea what we're talking about.
Okay, you weren't here for the presentation?
Nope.
Okay. Karina, you can go ahead side by side then and refresh it.
Just sum it up.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. I'll do this pretty fast then. So for slide 17, this is just a quick overview of the type of projects that would be subject to these objective design standards. And just as a reminder, these projects would be exempt from design review so long as they meet these standards. So again, these standards would essentially take place of the BAR design review. Additionally, these proposed standards would apply to facilities that are mounted on structures that are 50 feet or less, and they're located on existing or replacement utility poles, non-pole concealment structures, roof of existing structures, or something similar. Next slide. Thanks. So this is just an overview of those design standards again. We can jump into next slide. And what we're doing is we're proposing that all small wireless facilities be stealth as technically feasible with concealment elements that either mimic or blend with the underlying support structure, such as like the surrounding environment or adjacent uses. And for new installations, antennas, or associated equipment, they shall be fully concealed within the structure. And if concealment is not compatible with the pole design, then we're proposing that they must appear as an integral part of the structure or mounted as close to the pole as technically feasible. Thank you. So all cables, wires, and other connectors, they'll need to be routed through conduits within the pole and concealed from public view. Any external conduits or shrouds must be finished to match the underlying pole. And then for excess cables, they should not be spoiled, cooled, or stored on the pole's exterior. For pole-mounted accessory equipment, they may be installed behind street, traffic, or other signs, but they must be placed in a location that is most concealed. Next, okay. For all exterior surfaces, they shall be painted, colored, or wrapped in flat, non-reflective hues that will match the underlying support structure, and also treated with graffiti-resistant sealant. All new poles or structures will need to replicate materials, colors, and finish of existing infrastructure nearby. All replacement poles or structures will need to be of the same material or of the same material of the existing poles or adjacent poles.
Well, question here, when is a new pole acceptable?
Do you mind repeating that question? I apologize.
When is a new pole acceptable? It's an installation of a new pole. Is that there's no other pole nearby, or it cannot be applied, then it cannot be installed on an adjacent building? What exactly is it?
Correct. If there's no existing structure there and they need to provide service, then a new pole would be installed. Or they can add a similar to, what's an example? Non-pole.
Can I get this out of here? That's what's going on the screen.
That's in the interest of the manufacturer. Otherwise, we have to use somebody else's separate pole. I'm just asking, is there any threshold or any basis for asking for a new pole?
Were you able to hear my response to your question? Just want to, it's again, very hard to hear.
State your response again, please.
I apologize. I really can't hear. I don't know if you guys heard my response.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear a bit of that. It's cutting in and out.
Why don't you come down here?
She's not here.
Where is she? Why can't
All right, I think
does she have a phone? Can we actually get can you call my phone?
we're actually created, 1 second. I'm gonna see if I did the.
Somebody just put a conference call. Yeah, that's stupid.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you better, yes.
No.
Oh,
Yeah.
just using your.
Yeah, the computer. Can you hear me now? No, I muted this one. This is the only one that matters.
Can you hear?
I can hear a little bit better, yes.
There's no sound.
Oh, can you turn off the mic on this?
Yo, check this out. Yo.
Okay. No.
Turn your mic on.
Can you hear us? Hello? Me, Tokyo.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
Is
you.
that better?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So we're using the computer, so everybody just yell at this little gray box.
Karina, can you repeat your response to Alex?
Yeah, so a new pool would be added if there is no existing pole nearby where they can add an antenna onto. I think for these tier 2 projects, you know, they're trying to focus mostly on using existing poles or replacement poles. I don't think that the need is great for new pole installation, but that would be the need if they were to add a new pole, is, you know, not having one nearby and needing to provide service in a specific area.
So it sounds like Alex might be leading to, we should put a standard in there that if there's a pole not within a certain amount of feet.
Yeah,
We just lost the whole thing.
it sounds like it's open-ended, so you can just.
Hey, Josh,
You could just hang that up.
for anybody,
You could just hang that up.
Everything's working, dude. Hello?
We can hear each other right now.
Hang on.
This is the IT person.
Oh, I thought you.
Yeah,
Somebody. Please turn their mic on.
I think it's that computer.
Turn that computer off.
Can you turn the mic of that computer off? Okay.
Okay.
No.
One of these lenses. Yours.
Not mine.
Hello. I got feedback. Mic on.
Okay, for now, I think we can, maybe if you guys can hear me okay, I'll just continue with the quick overview and then focus on maybe trying to find an alternative way to answer questions and receive feedback. So very quickly, let's see.
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay.
Full circle. Okay, carry on, Karina.
Okay, great. Thank you. So again, I believe we were on slide.
You have to have a standard of when a new pole is allowed. You have to have a standard, some kind of a, planners usually have some kind of a standard for everything. So when is a new pole allowed? There's no other pole within 50 feet or 100 feet or a mile or whatever it is. It has to be some kind of standard, right?
Yes, so in our standards, the ones that I am discussing today are focused on design. We do have a standard already in place for kind of like a priority of what type of pole should be used. We encourage that applicants use existing poles or existing structures when they're adding service or, for example, adding an antenna. They would need to be able to show that it's technically infeasible for them to tack onto an existing pole and they need a new pole to be installed. So there is a process and there is a standard already in place. So again, these standards are focused on design. Do you mind if we just go back to slide 22? Great. So this is an example, again, of a tier 2 project, just a small cell wireless. So it is a smaller scale project where the antenna canister and the shroud here is being proposed to match what's already existing. So it's proposed to match the existing poles and materials and colors, as you can see from this image.
Yeah, let's move forward and because really this is just for Josh. We just want to be brief. We all heard this, so we can almost just read this and.
Yeah, so for shrouding, again, all antennas and associated equipment, they shall be installed within a single shroud. Full top antennas shall be visually consistent with design. For sidearm, the shroud must cover the cross arm. We can just jump to the next slide for a quick look. Example.
My copy, well, it says what is the not to exceed 2.5 times the median pole? What is that? A scale of the underlying pole may not exceed 2.5 times the median pole. What the heck is that?
For that, let's see. Let me double check what standard we have that under. So that one is specific again for shrouding. So it's specifically for the shroud, you know, that it should be consistent visually and not to exceed 2.5 times the median pole diameter. I'll have to do a little bit of, I'm not as familiar exactly what that might mean.
That sentence does not make any sense. You need to really say something clear.
Yeah, so for these bullet points, they're not exactly the language. They were shortened just to kind of give you an idea of the standards. So for that one, I can provide you a little bit more context at the end of the presentation, if that's okay. So I can continue.
Okay.
Great. Again, next slide, just to give a quick view of the example of shrouding. So we have figure 1, antenna concealed. Did you have a question?
No.
Okay. Again, you can just jump back to slide 24, please. Thanks. Okay. Figure 2, just an example of a pole top antenna on a wood utility pole. Next slide just kind of focuses on horizontal extensions. Again, side-mounted antennas are prohibited. Again, pole-mounted accessory equipment shall be flush with the pole and not extend. 26, here we have an example of a shrouded side-mounted antenna on a wood pole, and then the next figure is pole-mounted accessory equipment that would look like on a wood utility pole. Next slide focuses on accessory equipment that it should be placed underground in a utility district. It should also be installed in a load-rated vault, and we have some standards included that, you know, adding slip-resistant cover if the vault is beneath the sidewalk. If there's going to be vents for airflow, they should be flush to grade. And this is an example of a flush to grade underground equipment vault. Next slide again.
Yeah, question here. Below grade, they're wonderful. I mean, there's absolutely no objections. Above grade, so they can only be, what, 24 inches high? Is that what you're saying? Surrendered by landscape, or what's the standard there?
So we don't have that in the standard that they be surrounded by landscape. If that's of interest, we can definitely consider including some language to add.
But because they will be in a parkway, right? No?
I don't believe in a parkway, but we can do a little research to see if that is potential, then we can look into creating a standard that would include some landscaping. Would that be helpful?
Yeah, I was just wondering because, yeah, underground is wonderful, and I'm sure the applicants are not going to be happy doing that. So they're going to install them above grade as much as they're allowed. So I was wondering, you know, what they would look like if there is any special design. I see them sometimes painted green and plastic domes or something like that, right? You see them in the neighborhoods. I I wonder if you have any thoughts on that, or anybody has discussed that.
We don't have a standard already, so that's something that we can do a little bit more research and put together. But nothing yet, but that is some good feedback for us to consider.
I guess when considering that, any new landscape needs to be irrigated. So where would the water come from? And would you be relying on the resident adjacent to that property, or that would be my question.
Mhm.
Kindness of strangers.
Yeah, so that is a good point, and something we'll have to consider if it's even going to be feasible to include as a standard.
Dogs too. Eat a lot there.
For that last slide, if we can just jump back. So again, minimum ground clearance for all accessory equipment. The lowest point shall be at least 10 feet above ground level. We're proposing clearance from ground level be no less than required for compliance with applicable laws. And then for orientation, unless it's behind a street sign or concealment that dictates the equipment orientation on the pole, we're proposing that all pole-mounted accessory equipment shall be in line with the adjacent road or oriented away from the adjacent road when concealed by landscaping.
I have a question there. When would a street sign block equipment? What type of sign are we talking about?
That is a good question. I might actually ask Joe Charkle. Have you had any examples that you've come across?
Joe's gone.
Oh, he's
You're
gone.
on your
Oh.
own. Yeah. No, so I guess just something to take back with you. It's
Yeah, I'm trying to think of an example of a street sign. But that's a great question, and we'll have to look into that and see if.
okay.
Yeah.
'Cause I think we saw it a couple times in here, unless, in the few previous slides, something about street signs, but I can't imagine a street sign that would block equipment like this. So just curious.
Yeah, I guess if we're considering it more of like using like a utility pole that's used for traffic signals. Sometimes there are signage on those poles or around those poles. So things like that I could use as an example, but
I see.
yeah. So I'm just trying to think if there's anything else as far as a street sign. But.
I would like to make an overall comment that
Mhm.
pictures are very good. You have 2 or 3 slides with pictures, and that works really, really good. It works better than anything else, really. Like on page 22, for instance, very, very good. Page 24. I mean, if you can have more pictures, I think some of the side, I mean, some of the other issues need to have more, pictures that you like. I mean, show the installations that you like and display them. And so I think that would be very successful.
Mhm. Yeah, that's very great, and we appreciate the feedback. I'll just remind everyone that these standards we did kind of pull them from the city of Santa Barbara. So that's also where these images are coming from as well. So just a side note.
Okay. All right. Is that it, Karina?
That's it on my end.
Josh has one comment. But we're not letting him.
So I assume that if anybody proposes to make a windmill or a tree or some other structure around one of these, that automatically sends it to the board for architectural review?
Yeah, so these type of projects again are for small cell wireless. So tier 2, very minimal. A lot of them are mainly replacement of existing. So anything that's like more of a larger scale, like for example, like those mono pine type of infrastructure, that would be still going to the BAR for review.
I also assume that these are all in the public easements, like if
Public right of way, yes.
How does this apply to like a cell tower being erected on a private property or somebody's building?
So these From my understanding, because they're small scale, a lot of these are already being used on existing utility poles. I don't believe it's likely that these type of projects would be put on private property.
So if one of these is being erected on a private property, that would send it straight to us then? Like if somebody had a commercial building, they wanted to put one of these on it, does that come to us?
So long as it meets the tier 2 requirements, then no. If they're unable to meet the standards of these tier 2 projects or these design standards, then they would be exempt from the BAR. Again, yeah, like not every project is going to be able to come in and meet everything. So there are going to be some that are going to be still reviewed by the BAR, and others, if they're smaller scale and can meet these design standards, they're going to be exempt.
Talk a lot about the enclosures down space. Just feel like that. Yeah, usually like a chain link fence around it. You know, when they actually are, we didn't talk, we're kind of talking about pools, but you know, when they have equipment on the ground and we put a fence around it.
Sorry, I'm losing a little bit of the audio.
Yeah, don't worry. We're just having a discussion.
Okay.
Hold on a second.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
All right, thanks. We're back.
Great. Any other comments? Any other suggestions?
Yeah, get more pictures from the city, see what else they have in the archives and add them.
We're sassy today. Sorry, Karina. Lots of tech issues. All right. Thank you, Karina.
Yeah, I understand.
Have a good weekend.
Thank you. You all too.
That concludes our SBAR hearing for today.
I was gonna
Someone else will have to end it.
I was gonna